My mill accused me of baby-trapping his son before I was pregnant. My fiancé and I ended the engagement. After 3 years together, Jake, 30M, and I, 28F, got engaged. Our love tale began at a 2021 mutual friend's birthday celebration. Jake appeared across the backyard on a beautiful summer evening during a party. He was chuckling at something his friend said, and I was immediately captivated to his pleasant grin and laid-back personality. We joined the same conversation group minutes later. Jake introduced himself, and we found many similarities. We enjoyed trekking, off-the-beaten-path trips, and cooking new meals. We chatted for hours, and his humor and genuine enthusiasm in getting to know me captured me. As the party ended, Jake requested my number. I gave him. Over the next few days, we texted regularly, sharing amusing memes and daily life experiences. Jake announced our first date a week after the celebration. He showed me this modest Italian restaurant in a quiet neighborhood. The atmosphere was ideal. Soft lighting, cozy tables, and fresh garlic and herb scent. We chatted easily over homemade spaghetti and wine. Jake's bad Italian made me giggle, and I felt like I'd known him for years instead of days. Many dates followed that first. We hiked nearby trails, tried new eateries, and binge-watched our favorite series on Sundays. Jake proposed during a weekend trip to the coast 6 months in. I agreed without hesitation, and we kissed as the sun sank over the ocean. As our relationship grew, we became more involved. We met each other's friends and families, supported each other through work and personal struggles, and made up our own rituals and jokes. Jake was always there for me, whether I needed a shoulder to cry on after a hard day at work or a road trip partner. We chose to live together after a year of dating. Taking a large step felt right. We spent weeks finding the appropriate furniture and decor for our cute apartment midway between our offices. Cohabitation presented obstacles. We had to compromise on cleanliness and TV, but it brought us closer than ever. I enjoyed getting up with Jake and going home to him. On our 3-year anniversary, Jake surprised me with a weekend in the coastal town where we got engaged. Jake kneeled on one knee as we retraced that wonderful day on the beach at nightfall. He proposed with a gorgeous ring. I agreed through joyous tears. I made the easiest decision ever. Our engagement has thrilled us, and we're excited to plan our future. However, one gloomy cloud clouds our bliss. Linda, Jake's mother, 55F. Linda has never liked me, but she's never said anything nasty to me. Several incidences have made me feel unwelcome and disliked. At 2 months into our relationship, I met Jake's family. Jake promised his folks were delighted to meet me for Sunday supper. When we arrived, his parents welcomed me, but Linda scarcely noticed me. She often asked Jake about work and his pals throughout the night. Linda would immediately shift the subject or talk over me whenever I joined the conversation. I complimented her wonderful roast to find common ground. She simply replied, "Oh, this old recipe. It's nothing special," and immediately turned back to Jake to ask about his latest project at work. By the end of the night, I felt invisible and unwanted. 4. Jake's birthday during our first year of dating, I wanted to do something special to impress his family. I spent hours researching recipes and finally settled on baking his favorite cake, a 3-layer chocolate cake with raspberry filling. I'm not much of a baker, so it took me several attempts to get it right, but the final result looked and tasted great. I was so proud as I carried it into Jake's parents' house for the family dinner. However, as soon as I set it down, Linda made a big show of presenting the store-bought cake she had gotten. "You always say nobody makes it quite like they do." She then turned to me with a tight smile and said, "Oh, did you make that? How sweet. We'll put it in the kitchen for later." My homemade cake sat untouched all evening, while everyone ate Linda's store-bought one. Jake and I participated in his family's Christmas gift exchange last year. I spent hours choosing meaningful gifts for everyone, even Linda. Linda sent Jake's sister and boyfriend costly, carefully picked gifts when it was time to open presents. She gave Jake's sister fancy jewelry she wanted, and her boyfriend a luxury smartwatch. My turn. Linda handed me a little, quickly wrapped item. Pharmacies sell generic bath sets that you can buy last minute. Its clearance tag, showing a $4.99 purchase, made it worse. Smiled and thanked her. But my cheeks burned with embarrassment. Linda takes subtle comments at my career, attractiveness, and upbringing when we visit Jake's parents. "Oh, you're still at that entry-level job? You'll advance eventually. Jake was a manager before you." She'll call my dress daring or commend it backhandedly. My age would never allow me to look so young, let alone yours. I mentioned growing up in a tiny town, and she said, "Well, that explains some things. Being in a city must be a big change." Linda's continual reference of Jake's ex-girlfriend Sarah is especially annoying. Linda considered Sarah perfect. Good family. Beautiful, successful. She constantly discusses Sarah's achievements. "Have you heard Sarah became a law firm partner? she was always motivated. Sarah's wedding pics were lovely. Some girls just exude class. She's unintentionally called me Sarah numerous times, usually following up with an insincere, "Oh, I'm sorry, you two look so alike." We don't. Despite this, Jake has always supported me and promised his mom will change. He's called her out on her conduct several times, but Linda typically says she didn't intend it or that I'm too sensitive. I've kept a polite, distant relationship with Linda to avoid upsetting Jake. I took Jake's job documents to his parents' residence a week after our engagement. Linda let me stay until Jake got home from work. She proposed after a few awkward minutes of small conversation. "Linda, you two are committed to marriage? You and I are enthused about it." Linda laughed. "You got what you wanted, trapping my son with a baby on the way." Very clever. I was stunned by her statement. I'm not pregnant, and Jake and I have always used birth control. We've considered having kids when we're ready and financially stable. Jake arrived home and ended the conversation before I could answer or inquire what she meant. In order to avoid controversy, I didn't tell Jake immediately away, but Linda did. Been eating me up all week. She damaged me by thinking I tricked Jake into marriage, and I'm scared she's spreading rumors about me to the family. I've debated whether to confront Linda about her comment or ignore it. Part of me wants to defend myself and deny her claim, but part of me fears worsening the problem and causing family strife. Jake has noticed my quietness this week, but I haven't told him what his mom said. I don't want to force him to pick between us. I'm scared that if I don't address this now, Linda's conduct may worsen after we're married. Two close pals and I discussed the situation. Some say I should confront Linda and set limits. Others say to let it go and focus on Jake. They argue that dealing with Linda will only give her more ammunition, and that the best retribution is happiness and time to prove her wrong. Not sure what to do. I love Jake and want to spend my life with him. However, having Linda as my mother-in-law for life, undermining me and our relationship, is terrifying. I don't want this to cloud our marriage. I don't want to upset Jake's family either. Am I stupid to be upset about my future Miles accusation, Reddit? Do I confront her or take the high road? How do I handle the problem without escalating tension or giving Jake a difficult scenario? Update. After my last piece, I thought a lot about how to manage Linda, my future mother-in-law. I couldn't ignore her comment about baby trapping Jake. For my own peace of mind and my future relationship with Jake's family, I wanted to clarify. I texted Linda to meet for coffee. Despite being unpleasant, she consented. We met at a little cafe near her house the next day. Walking in, I was anxious. My pulse raced when I saw her at a corner table. Sitting across from her, I decided to be direct after a minute of awkward silence. I asked her about her comment about me trapping Jake with a baby. Linda initially dodged the question. She waved her hand dismissively and joked. I persisted, telling her the joke wasn't funny and that the suggestion wounded me. Then Linda's demeanor shifted. Red-faced, she leaned forward and spoke slowly but passionately. Linda stated she knew I was pregnant with Jake's child. She accused me of forcing Jake into marriage with the pregnancy. Without the baby, Jake would have picked Sarah, his ex-girlfriend, she stated. Her comments shook me utterly. Linda didn't listen when I told her I wasn't pregnant and there was no baby. She said Jake told her about the pregnancy. My head was spinning. Why Jake lied to his mother was beyond me. I left the cafe dazed, nearly forgetting Linda's goodbye. My thoughts raced as I walked home. Jake was in the living room when I arrived at our flat. He saw my expression and knew something was amiss. The events with his mother were told to him. Jake's face sank as I recalled the exchange. He slumped on the couch with his head in his hands. He then explained gently. Jake informed me his mother had pressured him for months to break up with me and reunite with Sarah. Sarah was Linda's ideal daughter-in-law, from an affluent family, with a prestigious career, and the perfect match for Jake. When Jake told his mother about our engagement, she raged. If he didn't propose to Sarah, she'd disown him. Jake felt imprisoned and hopeless. He desired me, but he feared losing his family. Jake panicked and told his mother I was pregnant. He assumed Linda would accept our relationship if she believed there was a baby. He did not want me to discover the deception, hoping to reconcile with his mother. I sat astonished by Jake's disclosure. I understood his motives yet felt misled. I told Jake that I loved him but couldn't lie to start our marriage. He was informed of my engagement cancellation. Jake was heartbroken. He implored me to rethink, promising to tell his mother and stand up to her once and for all, but I wanted time to reflect. Jake called his parents the next day to come over. After arriving, Jake's father looked bewildered and Linda looked smug, likely believing Jake would break up with us. Jake breathed deeply and told them everything. He stated why he lied about the pregnancy. He told them he loved me and wanted to marry me with, or without their consent. Linda was mad. She shouted that Jake was wasting his future, and that Sarah was superior. Jake's father intervened, surprising everyone. Enough, he told Linda. He was tired of her meddling in Jake's life and dictating his decisions. He informed Jake that if he loved me and wanted to marry me, he was behind him. Linda argued, but Jake's father stopped her. He stated that Linda, not Jake, would be cut off from the family if she refused Jake's offer. Room went quiet. Linda looked stunned, then dejected. She reclined on her chair, silent. Jake looked at me with hope and regret. He apologized again for lying and pledged to be honest with me and defend our relationship. Jake's courage in standing up to his parents and his father's surprise backing touched me, but the lie wounded and left me uncertain about our future. I told Jake and his folks I needed time to ponder. I loved Jake, but our marriage had been rocked. I said I wouldn't end the engagement, but I wanted to postpone the wedding until Jake and I could resolve this issue, potentially with a couples therapist. Jake agreed immediately and promised to earn my trust again. Linda was silent as his father nodded in consent. As Jake's parents left, his father grabbed me aside. He apologized for not intervening sooner and wished I could forgive Jake. He stated he could see Jake was happy with me and believed we were good for each other. Jake and I had several long, honest conversations about what transpired over the next 3 weeks. We saw a couples therapist for communication and trust concerns. It's been hard, but we want to strengthen our friendship. Jake is also improving his limits with his mother. Jake's father has been trying to get to know me and engage me in family occasions, but Linda has been distant. We take things day by day. The wedding is on hold, but we're laying the groundwork for our future. I'm cautiously optimistic we'll overcome this and emerge stronger. Thanks for all the advice and support from my last post. It inspired me to face the situation, even though the conclusion wasn't what I expected. I've learned that relationships are hard and that happiness isn't always easy, but I believe Jake and I can establish a loving, trusting relationship with honesty, communication, and a willingness to work through problems together. I appreciate your time listening to my story. I'll update once we decide our future together.